Good morning. It is Tuesday, May 9th, 2017, 11:40. I'm going to leave a little bit early today because today is, one second, Election Day here in BC. So it's our provincial election, which means we are electing our legislature. We're going to have well, I shouldn't say we're going to have a new premier. We may not. We may get the Liberals again. I am probably going to vote NDP this time around. NDP is New Democratic Party. I really like them a lot. They have screwed up a lot in our province. They used to have some really corrupt leaders. But they've always been, like the socialist party, basically. So, and I really like the woman that's running here in White Rock. She's a retired school teacher, which is nice. So, I feel good about voting NDP. Not crazy about their leader, but I'm not really that happy with how the Liberals have been going along. They've been in power for a really long time now, so we are very much a flip-flopper province. I don't really know how the other provinces are like, but in BC, we are a flip-flopping province. So you do something to piss us off, we put you out. Then they do something to piss us off, we put them out. One time, we had an election, and all but 2 seats went to one party. It was all Liberals and 2 NDP seats in the legislature, so we are definitely flip-floppers. So in that sense, I kind of get like the feeling that it's going to be NDP this time around. Because like I said, the Liberals have been in for a really, really long time. And they haven't really done a whole lot. They're very much a business-oriented party. So it's been a lot of LNG lately, which is liquid natural gas. So lots of trying to do more mining and dams and so lots of that kind of stuff. A lot of like environmental stuff that I don't agree with. So we have 4 choices here in South Surrey White Rock. We have Liberals, NDP, Green Party, and then we have an independent. So, and all of them are brand new because the Liberal candidate who's been here since 1997, who has been the MLA, finally decided to retire. So everyone is new. So it's kind of an open field, which is kind of exciting. I was looking on the website last night to figure out what all of the candidates believe, that kind of stuff, like just getting that overview before I finally make my final decision. And I thought it was interesting to see the stats about my constituency. So White Rock is a very, very small city. I mean, like it's only a dozen blocks or so. So in terms of being like a city, it's really just an offshoot of Surrey. It's not really a city in its own way. Even our riding, South Surrey White Rock, is a little bit of Surrey and a little bit of White Rock. So, or actually all of White Rock with just a little bit of Surrey to make up the numbers. The average age in my riding is 51 years old. So I am definitely in the minority. And I totally feel that living here. I've been here 2 years now. I used to live in Surrey, so I didn't move very far, but I've been here 2 years now, and I really feel out of place. I really feel young. Like, people my age who live here are really settled in their lives. They have, you have to have a professional career to live here because it's really expensive to live here. That's why I live in somebody's basement. In fact, the people whose basement I live in, they're both RCMP officers, and they're not that much older than me. I would say only a couple years, so. But people my age who live here are married, they have kids, so, I really don't feel like I fit in here. If they're my age, they're in a totally different phase of their life, and then everyone else is retired. Like, it doesn't even really feel like there's a lot of 40-year-olds here. It really feels like a lot of gray hair people. So, which is why I'm looking forward to moving. I don't know exactly where I'm going to go yet, but I'm really thinking about the island. I think I'd like to try living in Victoria again. I used to live on campus, but I've never lived in the city, so planning a trip later this summer for my Emily Carr project. I want to go to Victoria, visit her house. Her house there is a National Historic Site. So the other thing that's really cool is that the admission is free this year because it's the 150th anniversary of Confederation. Taking a hike around Beacon Hill Park, which is one of her favorite places to draw and paint. Also finding her grave, which I'm not really sure where it is, actually. I was just thinking this morning that I gotta look that up. Which cemetery is she buried in? Maybe going to the Royal BC Museum. Last time I visited, actually, a couple of years ago. Like 2012, maybe? Before or after I left. Oh, it might have been earlier. It might have been before I went to Halifax. Yeah, so like 2011. Or 2010, sorry. Nope, 2011. Yes. 2011 I went to Halifax. 2012 I came back from Halifax. So, in 2011 I was doing the library technician program at the University of Fraser Valley. And then I realized I did not want to be a clerical person in the library. That's not the kind of job I wanted. So, anyway, what was I talking about? Talking about Emily Carr. Oh, the last time I went to the Royal BC Museum, we went on a field trip to visit some of the government libraries in Victoria. So we went to like the Parliamentary Library. We went to a couple ministry libraries, which is, really, really awesome. Like, I loved doing that class because it was all just visiting on site, where do library technicians work, which was how I figured out I didn't want to do that job. But anyway, we went to Victoria, and I went to the Royal BC Museum when we had the time off. So, because we went overnight for an overnight trip. So we did some trips in the morning, and then we had time off in the afternoon. And they were doing a exhibit about young Emily Carr. So Emily Carr never married. She rejected a few marriage proposals, but there's this one mystery man from her very young childhood, like her late teens, early 20s. There's a couple photographs of her at like picnics and tennis tournaments and that kind of stuff, where he is like always in the background. So there's all this speculation about maybe they had a little thing, and maybe he broke her heart, and that's why she never fell in love again. So it's really interesting reading about her life because she barely mentions men at all. She barely mentions love at all in any real passionate love way. She definitely had love for her parents and her sisters, even though they also pissed her off a lot. And she had a really great friend in Sophie Frank, who was an Indian woman who lived in North Vancouver who made baskets. And Sophie Frank had 21 or 22 children, and all of them died very, very young. But she once named one of her twins that she had. She once named one of them Emily, after Emily Carr, because she was big and strong, the baby. But she still didn't last. But Emily never really fell in love with anyone, and kind of makes you think that she never... Either she had something when she was very young and it disappointed her or broke her heart so much that she just never opened up again to anyone else. And so there was speculation that this man in the photographs, who they can't identify, even though they know other people in the photographs, and we know a lot about her family and her friends because her father was a very famous, rich businessman in Victoria. So we know a lot about them and who they socialized with. but we still don't know who this boy was, I suppose I should say. So I went to this exhibit that was, you know, kind of like speculation about young Emily and did she fall in love with him, and it was done by an artist. There was like portraits that she had done of Emily Carr and that kind of stuff. It was really interesting. It wasn't really good. Like, it wasn't, you know, great, blow my mind. And as I recall, I didn't much like the actual painting, but the archival stuff was really fascinating. I really like that stuff. And in the Royal BC Museum, I'm pretty sure there's a Emily Carr archive, like a library, and I'd really like to see if I can get into that as just like a public person, whether you can go and visit, or if you have to be, you know, an artist with a grant or a book deal or something like that, or a journalist, I don't know. Anyway, I'm planning that trip, so that's going to probably be my one big summer trip. I usually take a trip to see my friends in the US, but I do not want to go anywhere near the United States right now. Even though the United States is technically just down the hill over there. Like, I can literally see the United States from my house. I know that sounds very Sarah Palin, but it is true. It's also the dollar right now is really terrible. It's like 75 cents. So it's just not worth it for me to go to the United States. So this summer's going to be staying at home, try to go camping. I'd really like to do a little bit more camping, backpacking. Maybe try to go to Manning Park or something. So that's my plan. First I gotta go vote. Gotta figure out what I need to take with me. And then I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna try to write this story, the vampire story I was telling you about earlier. I'm going to try to write some more. I did a little bit in my morning pages this morning about trying to figure out what this story is. The deadline's May 15th, so I still have some days. I tend to do this, like the way that I write is I'll have an idea and it'll like sit in my head for a while. And it hasn't even really been like front of mind, it's been very back of mind lately. But I started writing a little bit this morning and some new ideas came out and I'm starting to put together a plot, and so it's like I'll keep turning it over and over and over and then suddenly blah, it'll all just come out. So that's kind of the way I write. I don't know how well it really works for me, but I don't know, it feels good. So 11:52, I'm going to go make some lunch and then I'm going to walk up the hill. Or rather, I'm going to figure out where I need to go. I am going to Star of the Sea Community Center. So that is actually just down the street. So I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day.